So the folks in the room and the folks online, we welcome you to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. Please center with us in our opening prayer. Centering and quieting our minds. There is a temple, an altar within our being. It's in our hearts. And it's at this place that we join, that we center and say, Father, Mother, God, we give thanks that you are what you are. A state of bliss, peace, joy, love, oneness, abundance. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for extending yourself and creating us in your image. Help us. Send your Holy Spirit, the Holy Breath, the Divine Mother to us to help awaken in us the complete remembrance of what you created us to be. Help us to peel aside all false beliefs, all narratives in our mind about who we are. Anything that has to do with our own conjuring, we surrender onto this altar, we give to you. And in return, we sit empty like a grail, a chalice, and ask you to fill us. Let the Holy Host descend into our being and activate in our hearts and souls. Love and appreciation for who we really are, but the courage to see that identity in all of our brothers and sisters, no matter what masks they seem to be wearing, no matter what identities they seem to be holding on to. We choose to see pure holiness, innocence, God's children as they really are. And for this, in advance, we give thanks. And so it is.
This is from Paramahansa Yogananda. If you want to be loved, start loving others that need that love. If you want others to sympathize with you, start showing sympathy to those around you. If you want to be respected, you must learn to be respectful to everyone, both young and old. Whatever you want, first be that yourself. Then you will find others responding to you in like manner. Change yourself, and you've done your part in changing the world. And so it is. Now it's time for our mission statement. You can find these in the seat backs right in front of you. Together we say, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. It is dedicated to awakening the Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance, and so it is.
Good morning, everyone. If you don't mind, please share with me what thoughts, what topics you would like me to cover today. What's important to you? What's dear to you?
Trust and betrayal.
Just out of the blue, a couple people at once. Trust! Why? What happened? Have something on the news? Yes. Grief?
End of life. Yes. Thinning veil.
Okay, hold on.
Relationship.
That's okay. It happens every week. It's funny because you'll be silent, but when I say hold on, that's when everybody starts shouting these things. Were there any others?
Yeah. New beginnings again. Yes. Yes.
New beginnings what?
Again.
Again? New beginnings. Again. That would be called new beginnings. Was there another one? No. Okay, good. Yeah. It's interesting. It's kind of like last week, part 2. Because grief, end of life, betrayal, these topics are coming up. But also new beginnings, relationships, and so on. For us to have new beginnings, we have to really stop for a moment and say, like, I want a new job, a new relationship, these ideas. We have to really stop for a minute instead of just asking for a new life, new beginnings, a new year, etc. How committed are we to not having the old? Anybody can say, I'm done with that. Have you not had boyfriends or girlfriends or friends who you've heard say, I'm done with that relationship and still go back to it? Ever? Right. So then what's wrong with this picture? People can blurt that they want a new life. We have to really assess how done you are with your old life. I mean, that's kind of a bummer because people want to just be able to talk in my new life. I want new. I want more money. It's easy to say those things, so it's a little inconvenient sometimes to realize stop asking for more until you've assessed what you're willing to make room for. Get rid of old clothes, get rid of old thoughts, get rid of old behaviors. We have a course that we're doing that we just started. It's called Our Search for God. And this is every 2 weeks we do a different topic for this year. It's how to cooperate more, how to work as a team. Somebody can say, I would really like to be part of a center, a yoga center. I'd like to open a children's school or whatever it is, a beautiful dream. It's interesting how quickly you run into the old you and the old others, where we don't know how to let go of individual opinions and preferences and think as a we. So, we have to get used to the idea, if you're going to open some new thing, is it yours or is it ours? Is it a team effort or yours? Both are good, as long as you know which one you're doing. It wouldn't be right to say, I want it to be just me, but then have a bunch of other people stepping in. Nor would it be right to say, I want it to be a group effort if only one's running it. So what I want to lead to there is the most important thing before you have new beginnings, who's the you that wants the new beginnings? Is it the old you? Well, that's not going to be very new. How much do you want to shift or change before asking for something? Now, if you're in a desperate situation, you're going to want changes quickly, and you're going to, of course, if it's dire circumstances, for example, divorce, money, death, sickness, whatever. But, and when people pass away, because you asked about that end of life, please remember, things are not what they appear. Things are not linear. People don't just die. Concepts die. When your mom dies, everything about mom is dying for you today. That is, if she was wonderful, you're losing that wonderful nurturer. If she was detached and cold, then there's still feelings about it because I still was hoping we could fix that before she goes. See what I'm saying? So now you have that ending that you couldn't fix. So that comes with emotions. All the tears, all the feelings about mom, dad, your favorite friend or whatever. Those are losses that are far deeper than people think. So grieve deeply if that's what you feel. Celebrate greatly if that's what you feel. But understand what died. Not just who died, what died. Because a part of you feels like you lost something when they left. When they left your life or your house, but also the earth plane. Of course, in reality, they're still here. But think more deeply. When a job ends, a career ends, whether it's you're retiring or being fired, these are concepts. What ended? Well, I thought they liked me there, and yet they let me go. See, it isn't a job you're losing. It's all times you ever felt betrayed. All times you were ever kicked to the curb. I mean, it could be when you're 5 stuff coming up, even though you're 55. Just think more deeply, and the more we are capable and successful at realizing life is like this, it isn't like this. The broader, the greater your mind can go, the more the results, the greater the results of whatever's happening. So somebody can go, someone died, I mourned for some days, and then now I'm done with that and I moved on. You never just moved on. You thought you did because you're narrow thinking, shallow, limited thinking of a human being. We like to do things, be done with them, get over them. It's so much more. People are still grieving the crucifixion. Those of us that may have been there, you still haven't gotten past that. But not because I'm saying, hey, get over it. It's because of how huge it is, this experience. Now, forget the metaphysics of what it accomplished. As a friend of this guy being beat up and crucified, one of the authorities of the time, Pontius Pilate and so on, they described this. They said in letters to Caesar and letters to each other, but one of the most breathtaking is it was as though the whole world mourned. It was the feeling, and I got all these chills going through me. They described it, it's as though the planet mourned when it happened. They could viscerally feel the planet crying that its son died, its child died. And you go, wow, and how deep. But that's also you and I. When we died, seemingly leaving heaven was a death. So every time somebody betrays you, it reminds deep, deep down inside how we betrayed ourselves and left bliss. As well as every time on earth we've been betrayed or did betrayal. So you can heal a little bit, and some people are shocked when they try to heal and it doesn't quite work. All the things we experience are waiting for how our commitment. They're responding to our commitment level. You can be over a relationship, but wishing it were still there. You be careful because that can affect tomorrow's relationship. I was talking to, people on a regular basis, this comes up, but clients who might be experiencing the end of a relationship and kind of, I want to launch into a new relationship. Well, how thoroughly did you figure out what the last one was about? Otherwise, you will take that with you. And I'm not saying it's always a specific thing. It could be broad things. I've known people who mourned a relationship that wasn't even healthy, but it symbolized something. Somebody liked me. See, so when they lost the relationship, which is, thank God, put a ribbon on it, let it go. It wasn't good. But they're like, yeah, but they liked me and nobody liked me before. See, there's meaning you've given it. All this deep significance. Or I remember a girl who was with a guy who, it was because he just seemed very protective. So that was obviously, when she looked at it, her father who passed away when she was young. You see what I'm saying? We assign these things. Hi, listen, I don't have a nurturer. I'm going to hire you to be that. I don't have a protector. I'm going to hire you. All these bizarre relationships. One of you did ask about relationships, so here we go. They're all assignments rather than relating. They're assignments. On the, outside, it could be like, oh man, I really connect. Wow, wow, the energy and all these cool cosmic or just attraction things. But deep inside, there's all these assignments. And at some point, if we go deeper into who we are, who are you bringing to the relationship? Without knowing it, somebody who's needing a nurturer, somebody who's needing a protector, that means I'm going to give you assignments. And generally speaking, people cannot live up to your assignments. First of all, we rarely tell them we have them. So how could they fulfill them if they don't know they're being assigned something? It's so much nicer to clean house a bit more. What do you want to happen here? What are you really about? Who are you? And you can say, my name's, Sally, or my name's John. But on a deeper level, who do you believe you are? Then you'd be introducing yourself. Hi, I'm lonely. Hi, good to meet you. I'm rejection. I even have a last name. It's called, rejection, without you seeing it coming or whatever, but rejection still, waiting to happen. The assignments have to go, but how can they go if you don't even know they're there? Who are you? Well, my name, not your name. Who are you really? And you start to go into a deeper and deeper place. In that course we're doing, one lesson was cooperation, but one of them is also a deeper, who are you? What makes you tick? Why are you on earth? What are you here to do? I don't mean a defined like mission statement. I don't mean a sentence or career. I'm talking about you're the god and goddess of what, if you were to use that analogy. The god or goddess of what? And you realize, more than anything, I wish I could be the expression of joy or love, patience, whatever it is. Get in touch with that, because that takes you halfway home already. There's divine identity, there's human identity. Somewhere in between is this deeper title, we'll call it for now. This deeper awareness of who you are. Not all the way home, but not the human. Somewhere in between. What are you really about? You'll never know your divine self if you can't even know your soul self, and you only identify with your human self. I don't want to just be a human. I want to at least get to my soul self, where I know my soul's purpose. I meet soul mates, everything getting to soul. I want to know soul music. I want to know soul cooking. Soul meaning from a deeper place. Everything more from a place of joy. But I can't, because that's all here in our heart center versus 3 lower chakras, 3 upper chakras. It's our heart and soul. That's a fantastic thing to identify with. Hey, who are you? What are you about? Don't answer from here. The intellectual center, the emotional center, nor even the human genetic, the cellular person. Learning to get here, I don't know. And you'll go through a phase of, I don't know. Who are you? What do you want? I don't know. That's a healthy I don't know. It's a healthy one. It can be a healthy one. But the healthy one is, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. I'm asking Spirit in the heavens to inspire me, move my heart, remind me, what am I really about? Oh my God, creativity is my mantra. That's my theme. That's my thing. I'm just all about creativity. I've seen people whose houses you walk into and they've painted everything. I mean, they've painted everything. It's like they painted over mirrors, purple, sparkly stuff, glitter. I mean, it's so trippy, these people. And I'm just like, wow. Because, you go in some houses, everything's just, like I've gone to IKEA hell. It's just like, it's just all this linear furniture that they assembled in just 10 minutes and everything's just so, and that's great because that's fine furniture for some. But what I'm saying, then I walk into a house of a real artist, a consummate artist. They can't ever just have something without putting glitter on it or paint on it or something, gluing feathers to it. I'm amazed and I love that. And that is a person who is living, owning who they really are. I am the goddess of creativity, and you can tell. What you don't want is to wish you were the goddess of creativity and it's just a dream, but you never do it. That's being conflicted. And it can be hypocritical as well, but that's living conflicted. Divided we fall. So wishing that you could, you walk into some people's houses and there's instruments everywhere. A flute hanging here, a drum there. You can just tell this is a musician. And it's pretty cool. But you don't want to say, I'm a musician and everything's linear. I'm an artist, everything's linear. I'm the god or goddess of patience. And all, anybody that knows you, they're like, I'm the goddess of patience, god of patience, and you're always tapping your foot. Well, let's go, It's not congruent. So reassign. What am I? I'm a goddess of, let's do it, let's go. And that's not bad, as long as you're true to it. I'm a motivator, not a waiter. That's cool. Know who you are. All things change. One of you asked about this thinning of the veil. This isn't a thought or concept of someday. I've said many times, the veil between dimensions is thinning. It is thinning now. It is getting to the point where the atmosphere and elements of higher dimensions are now mingling with other lower dimensions. You will continue to hear more about beings. This is constant. I have clients who say, my kids are talking to something up in space, up in the sky. I mean, it's happening. People are seeing beings. Now, on the news, they call it a rise in mental illness. They do. And I'm not saying it doesn't seem like that. I mean, yeah, I would have been worried if I was in high school and friends were like, hey, how's it going? Good. Oh, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to, like, it does seem scary. But if you know what's happening, it's not that scary anymore. It's more awe-inspiring. Wow. You're seeing, like when my grandfather passed away, we weren't close. I knew him, and he would recognize me and me him, and I could tell you things about his life. But we weren't close. But yet my children woke up one morning and said, we saw Grandpa last night. Each of them like, what? We saw Grandpa. What Grandpa? And they said, the one with one finger missing. And they each were telling me this. So then I knew. Called, my dad, which that was his father. And I said, the kids saw him. He said, oh, he passed away last night. See, but this should be normal. Children see these things, but to encourage it, not to over embellish on it, just let it be what it is. Don't overly push it, but don't shut it down either. I've shared this story before, but when my oldest daughter, when I had just one daughter, and the oldest one was there, she was playing with one of those phones you dial, and she's talking on the phone, da 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 da, and I walked in the room, hey honey, how are you? Good. And I said, who are you talking to? The angels. And that's cool. She could have just said the angels for any reason. I said, really? What did they say? There's another baby coming. I'm like, no. What? No. I'm like, really? Yeah. I said, when is it coming? She said, they said soon. Is it a boy or a girl? And her answer was, they said that it's still spinning up in the clouds because they haven't decided yet. That's not a kid just making stuff up. I'm talking to, Yogi Bear that I saw on the TV. This is like trippy stuff. This is increasing, and it's going to increase. How long? Until there are no veils. The bad news to this is that it's unexpected by some standards. It seems strange to some people. And the bad news includes also, when the veils thin between dimensions, there are some not so great dimensions. And when those veils thin, that means an increase in entity, be it alien, demonic, or whatever, sometimes infiltrating and messing with people. So you see a rise in troubled minds, consciousness, people hearing things that are not encouraging and nurturing. This is what's happening. Be aware of it. Respond to it correctly, that you should be one that says, I know what's happening. Step up. Don't be a victim or forever a student who keeps a distance from knowing things. Now know this. You heard this. So now own it. Know it. And when you hear people struggling with it, step up and help. Just even a kind word. This is normal. It's okay. Rather than, what? I've heard, that's terrible. That could be bad. Just show people the light is on in your mind. Show them that you're awake to some degree or another. Show them that you're committed to being there when they go through some of the strangest things, because this is all normal. I'm having a lot of, the person could say, a lot of thoughts and memories about my past life, and it's haunting me. It makes total sense to me. Well, why? Why would past life suddenly press in on me, or earlier times in my life, depressing things or stimulating things? Why are these things coming up? Because everything is going to come up to be cleared and cleared and cleared, and there's no limits anymore. No previous lives. They're all the now. It's all, everybody's going to have an increase of knowing previous lifetimes, because there's no previous anymore when you live in timelessness. So the key is really just act more awake, be more responsible, and realize these things can't happen by accident. This is cool stuff. Even the scary stuff, not that the scary is cool, but it's cool because it shows me, it reminds me, all the veils that once separated things are thinning. Why? Because they're disappearing. Why? Because there are no limits. Everything is connected. And so we start to realize, forget the cosmic stuff for a moment, aliens, ETs, angels, are also going to be more prevalent, more seen more easily by more people, not just cosmic people, by whomever happens to have had that peace in their mind move and open today, they too will see these things. So this to me is fantastic. It's beautiful. That also means loved ones. There's more and more mediums that'll be able to tell you your loved ones are here and talk to you and share their messages with you. Why? Because the veils are thinning. It's kind of like saying when you see on the outside, look at communication, how communication is so much easier. You can, on a cell phone, you can call whatever, island, whatever, it's so bizarre, but communication is becoming simpler, easier. You can reach anybody anywhere. There's not, once upon a time, hello, grandma, it's not the effort. It's not even this, which was an improvement. And we didn't have to go through Sarah, the phone operator, to get us, could you make a call for me in New York? Okay, it'll be about a half an hour. I'll get back to you. Then it went to this, then it went to this, and now it's just, and to the point where you can say soon, phone, turn on and dial for me, like you do in your car, and it can happen. Once upon a time, somebody said to Edgar Cayce in his trances, should I invest in this new thing called telephone and so forth, that has to do with, communications? His answer was interesting. Any investment that has a possibility of quicker, easier communication will always go up. That's a great investment. You see what he's saying? He saw that communication is not just a thing. It's a state of consciousness. Think about this. If we're all one, we don't even need to communicate through phone. When we finally get it, we'll just think it. You see? Now, technology is going to say, well, we don't want you to have the freedom to think it. We have to make $1 on it. So technology is going to say, we're going to simulate your ability to just think it by just, like on Star Trek, just tapping and you turn on your phone and you're talking to somebody. That's going to, simulate oneness by being able to just call anybody up. Spiritually, it's not a technology. Spiritually, it's I think about you and you get my message. Right now, you use mediums to talk to deceased loved ones. There will come a point where you will not need to. They asked Edgar Cayce, can you communicate with the dead? Is there a technology? And he said, yes. One day, even a technology will be made where you can communicate with spirits in the astral plane. We don't even do well talking to people on earth. So don't think that this is like, ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah, dial 1-800-666-HELL, and see who you can dial up. No, we need to become clearer, cleaner, healthier, more responsible people. They asked Cayce, can you channel our deceased grandfather, who passed away last month? He said, why? You didn't talk to him when he was alive. Why do you want to talk to him now that he's dead? Great question. Because why do you want any of these things? Why do you want the veils to thin? Don't get excited. Let's first look at it. If the veil's thin, that means you can no longer hide parts of yourself from yourself or others. Are you really ready for a transparent life? So one of you might come in and say, transparency. Michael, talk about transparency. What do you mean by that? I want my partner to be more transparent. Really, let's talk about your transparency. Well, no, I didn't ask about that. You see, it's all convenience. New beginnings are very much contingent on how well you died of the old. So can you commit to, especially right now, it's kind of a new year, to be able to stop? It's not too late to say, before I launch fully into this year, have I fully died from last year? Have I fully died from last decade? Have I fully died from past lives, childhood issues? I mean, really, just, is there anything you're still hiding under a rock? It's not like you have to tell the world, but can you at least think it, let alone speak it, let alone share it with a counselor or a sponsor? There should be no barriers. And if you're excited about dimensional barriers disappearing so you can see angels, start with yourself. Be excited about, I never wanted to see that part of me. It's kind of yucky. Well, let's talk about it. and we talk and we smooth out some pieces that are still cutting a little bit, causing a little wound and bleeding here and there. Let's patch it, talk it, patch it, talk it. And there's a point where it comes up and it has no reaction in you. Do you see what I mean by that? It's like now I can just say whatever it is. And sometimes these things catch you unexpectedly. They catch you off guard. The first couple of times when I found out about a child being abused of mine, the first couple times trying to talk about it, my voice would go, and I you know what I'm saying? It was hard. I just found out, and I'm spiritual, I meditate and all this. It didn't matter. As a human being, that energy's trying to pass through me, and it couldn't because it was so hard. The next time, a little easier the next time. And I don't want to say that I ever look forward to it being completely smooth. It is what it is. If it still causes me a tear today, I'm going to own that and be with it, not shame it and say, oh my God, that's years ago. I shouldn't be thinking about it. Don't shame these things. Let them be. If it brings up joy, let it bring up joy. If it brings up hurt, let it bring up hurt. But what are you doing about it? And these things shouldn't be so surprising that there's hurt here and there. That there's a twinge thinking about your ex, but that was 10 years ago, 50 years ago, or whatever. This shouldn't be coming. Stop the shouldn'ts and whatever. It is. It's hurting. What's happening? That's how you process it to completion. Process to completion. Completion doesn't mean it never comes up again. Completion means, as far as I know, I feel good with it. But all of our stuff goes from the I don't want to think about it, talk about it, to being annoyed, thinking about it, talking about it, even feeling some of the hurt, to, well, it's kind of like evened out, it sort of flattened, right? Have any of you reached that on any topic? Yes, good. There's another line you get to, another level. And that is it sounds impossible. Not only do you not feel the hide it, to the hurt, to the flat line, you will think about people and events and still feel joy. I'm not saying you switch your feelings to feeling joyous about hurtful things. I'm saying you still feel, you're immune, so much so that you start to feel joy. People assume that means you're happy and excited about wounds. No, it's not like you go, geez, I should do that again now. It's not like you say, that was a great ride. I want to go on that roller coaster again of abuse or whatever. No, I'm saying you are so independent of it and centering into God so much, you start to feel lightness even when thinking about weird things, hurtful things. Like you just find centeredness. Now you're as though it's God viewing memories of human experiences. And that takes everything to another level. All the barriers, all the veils, that means secrets. There's a saying, we are as sick as our secrets. And that doesn't mean you should go on social media and tell everybody everything you've ever done, because sometimes you'll be tempting them to judge you, which is not good for them. So it's not like transparency means vomiting your stuff out on it. It's just not being so afraid of people knowing. Not being afraid of yourself even seeing these things. First person who has to be comfortable with your past is you. But you can try it out with trusted loved ones. I've never told anybody this, and you share that story. And there's a part of you that's just sharing it, but there's a part that's also watching the reactions. And you noticed when you shared that, for a moment, that person turned their head and was like, and now you're feeling kind of sick to your stomach and, oh my God, I'm being judged. And you know what? As inappropriate as their reaction is you, magnified. So you stop. Don't just I can't believe they reacted like that. Stop and go, wow, that shows me how I'm afraid and still judging myself. And one day you'll share that and the other person will go, wow, okay, thanks for letting me know, or I'm sorry to hear that happen. Just love, compassion, and it's very, very beautiful. There are people that go through tests. Your life events are never just events. On the other side, they don't go, we can't wait to hear how many times you went to Disneyland. They don't care. Everything you're doing on earth has to do with learning and healing, which ultimately means basically your awakening or your remembrance. It doesn't even really matter what you did. How many crystals did you own, or how many books have you read, or whatever? How many people did you date? None of that matters. They're only going to ask you, learning and healing, how'd you do? Well, there was this one blonde girl. Wow. They're like, blonde, what does that mean? Blonde, hair. We don't have hair here. We don't know what you're talking about. Whoever this was, we don't care what gender. You're gay or straight. We didn't ask you. Yeah, but it was a big deal to me. I was gay or straight. We didn't ask. We don't know what it means. We don't care where you put your things. It's okay. So anyway, we don't care what you do, how you do it, where you do. What did you learn? And what they care is that you came out and trusted. See? Trust is not, well, I'm here, I'm arriving to the other side, and I was betrayed, and I trusted but got hurt, because you asked about trust. Remember, this too is a test. How did you do with trust when you were there? I learned you can't trust anyone. Oh, we're sorry to hear that. Well, we have some assignments, perfect relationships, where you can go work on that. That's all it is. They don't care who betrayed you. I'm not saying they're cold to you. What I'm saying is they want to know how you dealt with it and whether you came out of it. Did you, when somebody betrayed you, they crucified you. That's a form of crucifixion. So they betrayed you, they crucified you. Did you resurrect? Yeah, I just eventually lifted myself up and went outside again, and I eventually was able to get back to work, and and you're sniffling and you're still swollen from crying, and that shows you're moving in the direction, but they still have assignments for you. What they want to hear you report at some point, despite the greatest crucifixions, there was a moment where I went, oh my God, I get it. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And what's your part? That does come up in these conversations on the other side. What was your part in them? Nothing. I was just like totally like in my soul self, and I was trusting so sweetly, innocently, like a, just open child. They're going to go, yeah, we hear that all the time. What was your part in this? And I just was so vulnerable and trusting. No. On a spiritual level, you know everything that has ever happened, will ever happen in your life and everyone's life. Ultimately, we have the Akashic records within our own being. You can't plead ignorance. They're going to say, why did you not want to know that person was not trustworthy? You see what I mean by that? There's parts of us that think, I want to trust untrustworthy people because I want to prove I'm not judgmental. See, that one slipped by here and there, didn't it? Like, wow, even when you're trying to be non-judgmental, you end up in trouble and it's still a lesson. Wow, this gets too heavy. I just shouldn't bother trusting anybody because no, that's not the answer. You don't not trust anybody, but you also don't trust untrustworthy people. Some of us go to the other side and claim to be victims of betrayal, but your story is kind of along these lines. I just trusted this person. One day I needed to stash all of my life savings somewhere. And I thought there's a friend of mine who I just feel like, wow, in my heart, I just knew they just feel like a really sweet person, a really mellow person. And I'm going to trust them. Could you hold my $10,000, my $100,000? Could you please hold this for a couple of weeks? Went back and it was gone. And they moved with my money. They used my money to get a place in Tahiti. And I'm homeless now. How did that happen? Maybe on some level you knew that wasn't the person to give your money to. But they seemed really sweet. They were always so mellow. That's because they were always stoned. That was a drug addict. And you gave a drug addict, an active drug addict, all your money. And it went because you handed them funds to go on one of their, excursions. That hurts. Don't trust unworthy parts in people. And that tempts us to think, but then I'm judging them. No, sometimes you just use common sense. Even say, God, I'm afraid. I feel like I'm judging this person. And God might say, like I shared the story last week, Helen, who wrote A Course in Miracles, was told by Jesus, she's shopping and he told her, don't go in that store today. And she's like, oh, really? You think you're going to tell me what to do? Mr. Jesus? I'm going to go. And she went and she had her purse stolen. And I get a kick out of that because there's a part of me that thinks, hearing Jesus going, I told you so, would have been funny. But he didn't, he can't, Jesus, he's like, okay. Sorry to hear that happened. But he walked her through the development of faith. Yes, you trusted. Yes, something went wrong. But part of you knew, the part that is me, Jesus talking to her, said, don't go in there. So before you dated that person, who ends up being a narcissist, a psychopath, or whatever, I don't believe you should go online and start doing character searches on people. That's a little weird, but some of you do it. I know that. How many, tickets do they get per year and whatever. It's a little weird. When we know who we are, when we really know, you will attract other people that know who they are. If you have unseen things, if you have hidden things, if you have unhealed wounds, they are going to magnify and become husbands and wives. They're going to become even your parents. Because all of my stuff gets magnified and becomes what I think are people on earth. But they're all just extensions of me. So the greatest trust comes from your own immunity. You don't create drama so much because of your own healing. That doesn't mean things can't still happen on earth. Jesus himself told his apostles, hey guys, listen, I'm paraphrasing, but hey guys, listen. You have stuff going on in this world. There are struggles. There are betrayals. Even if you're meditating, even if you're a Buddhist who meditates, you're a Christ-centered person who calls on the Holy Spirit, you're in a world created by fallen minds, fallen souls, people that separated from God. They don't have good moods consistently. If they've separated from love, they're upset. And you're in a world with people who are upset. And they take it out on each other. Jesus tells his apostles, you're not going to have a world yet that doesn't have any of that. Now listen carefully. He's telling you it's more work involved. But what he says is, you're not going to be in a world that doesn't have this. But I can give you a state of consciousness where you're immune to it. In the world, not of the world. And this is powerful. But part of us is like, oh, that would be really nice. But no, I want a world where everybody acts the way I want them to act. Which isn't even consistent because your moods are different from Tuesday and Monday. So you're not stable and consistent. How's the world going to be able to do that? It's a crazy world, as we know, but there is a way to be in the world and still be centered. It's like choosing to be a light worker, choosing to be a healer, choosing to be a miracle worker in a world where there's a lot of messed up stuff. Some of us have the right, mind you. I'm not wronging you to say, I want to have a happier life. That's a good start. But that is not the end here. Just having a happier life, it isn't done until you share the happier life, believe it or not. It isn't about you just having more prosperity. Do you share it with others? Do you give generously as possible your funds, your smiles, whatever it is? What do you do to bring to the world that which you have? Well, I just stay in my own thing and I wish everybody else were different. It will never work that way. We are the ones who miscreated. We're the ones who have to recreate the new beginnings. It's new beginnings isn't just, I want a better life this year. Everything is proportionate to how much you share any bit of new life you get. So are you committed? When you think about prosperity, are your first thoughts about who you'll share that with? When you think about, I have come out of hurting over a relationship, does it come to mind how that can make a difference in other people's lives? When you're fit and healthy and prosperous, do you think about senior homes? Do you think about homeless shelters? Do you think about rescuing animals? And I'm not saying be a rescuer, which is overboard, but everything you want in this life, don't just ask what you want. Ask what you want and consider how you will then share that. It's in vain. It's using God's name in vain to think about recreating a new life and thinking of it as being yours, just for you. There should be this automatic and Who else will I share that with? How will I share that? I want to be what? Would you like? Happiness? Do you think about what you'll do with the happiness if you had happiness? I just wish I had a total centered state of peace. And what would you do with it? Not just, I could just sit around. There's good cannabis that'll help you do that. Just sit around blissing out. It's kind of cool. What's that going to do? How does that make a difference in the world? And if you don't make a difference in the world, the difference you thought you had in yourself will be gone seconds, minutes, or a lifetime later. What you don't share, you lose. What you don't use properly, which means sharing, you will lose. So it's all in vain. That's why Solomon walked around his latter years, just mumbling to him. The wisest, wealthiest person in history comes towards the end of his life mumbling, just walking around saying, none of it matters. It's all vanity. And by vanity, what he means is it's all worthless. What good is it to have had money? How much did I give away? And when you give it away, and wisdom, did you give it? And he did. He was generous and wise and all that. But he went so far in certain directions I can't elaborate on right now. He found it to be like, it's just all worthless. It's valueless. I just wanted to have kids. Why? Were you kind to them? Did you train them to be miracle workers? Well, no, but they had straight A's. Vanity, vanity, vanity. It's very disheartening. It's a really big blow, this thing called awakening. Because we think awakening means, oh my God, now I get to be like the authors who wrote about awakening. They have millions of dollars, many of them. They don't impress me at all, those millionaire authors. It doesn't impress me at all. What I want to know is, and do they bring it to the world? No, they actually charge you $10,000 for meet and greets after their talks. My brain can't do that. I can't imagine saying, yeah, you can shake my hand, but you have to go through this thing over here and your credit card and $10,000 for me. It doesn't make sense to me. Even if you're a spiritual author, bestseller, are you thinking about how it makes a difference? Someone in line that doesn't have that money, their life can be changed through your humility to say, who are you? What are you about? How are you doing today? I know that we speakers and all that, we don't always have all the time. I get all that, the stories around that. But no matter who you are and where you are, it all comes down to first, do you know who you are? Secondly, remember, bringing that. Does knowing who you are, it's going to change your life. It'll change your relationship with yourself. And if that changes, your relationship changes with everything. And are you bringing that to the world? Everybody has to think about this, because if you've had great changes and you say, my relationships are really great, my finances are really great, you forgot there's another step. And what are you doing with it? How is it making a difference? You're a really patient person. Great. Have you been to an animal shelter lately to patiently hold an animal whose life might be ending soon? And I don't mean just poor thing, poor thing. Your job is actually to help them believe in something that isn't visible right now. They're in pain and they're going to die soon. Your job is not just to sympathize and pity them. Your job is to make them feel like, despite what things look like, there's something else here, the presence of God. Give the dog hope, even though it's dying. Give a child hope, even though they're in foster care and things are horribly going off in their lives. Don't look at them, oh, you poor thing. They don't need to hear that. I know it seems like it. And maybe you can start with, oh, I'm sorry, that's fine, that's bridging. But end with giving people, animals, everything hope, despite the way things look. If you've got extra funds, you do it that way. If you have an amazing smile, whether it cost you 50 grand for the smile or whether you were born with it. If you have a great smile, Buddha says in certain branches of Buddhism, if it's a smile you have, share it. The way he says is use any of these gifts to bring people to God. Then you know you're doing the right thing with it. Whether it's beauty, people think he's like, oh, beauty's bad and it's illusion. No, he actually said, whatever you have, a smile, beauty, money, but it's good, but what you're supposed to do with it is always use these things to bring people home. So are you? I own 2 bikes. Nobody's ridden them for a long time. There are people that don't have any transportation. Why aren't you giving those bikes away? Sell them and give the money away. Jesus talks to the wealthy man who says, I have it pretty together, Jesus. I just want you to know, man, I'm pretty cool. I got all kinds of money, success. I must be pretty amazing. Any suggestions on anything I might be missing? And Jesus is already all over this. Jesus can already see the dude is totally attached to his money and success. He's proud. My father worked very hard. He left me with money. And Jesus' statement is, sell it and give it to the poor. Give everything away, give your money away and sell everything you have, give it to the poor. Now, he's not saying you and I have to do that. Why did he say it to that guy? And people use that to say, oh, well, so the churches then came around and said, having money and possessions are evil. Give it to us. God, they're so benevolent that they would take on all our sins called cash and, take good care of it for us. Did they throw it in volcanoes to get rid of it? No. So that's a little weird, but that's another story. But Jesus was doing this because he saw that's where the guy's attachment was. Now, if you walked up and said, Jesus, is there one thing you'd have me work on? He wouldn't say, get rid of all your money and stuff. That wasn't the point. For you, he might say, it's time to stop thinking about that, or it's time to stop spoiling your child. If that's where your attachment is, I want my child to love me because my parents did and my husband did, so I want them, so I do everything they want. That's where he'd go after it. He'd go, you have a child. Stop talking to them for the rest of the year. Jesus is so heartless. No wonder you left your mother and went gallivanting and all of the other countries and continents. You'd blame him and accuse him for going after that thing that is your weak link. The thing you think is so strong is actually your weakest link. So look at the patterns, look at the deeper stuff with everything in this life, everything in the world. Look more deeply at it all. And I hope I've addressed to some degree the various requests. Please know, I'm not like skipping past the word grief by not talking about it for half an hour. Absolutely, grief, it comes from loss and hurt. But in the deepest pits of grief, your job is not just to grieve. It's to look at why, and that grief is not over one event. When you grieve, it's all grief from all lifetimes. That's why some of us, when we grieve, we're afraid to grieve because we know, oh man, if I open this up, have you ever had those moments where if I start, I don't know that I can stop? That's terrifying. If I start crying, I have a feeling I'm going to lose control. Or if I allow rage to be expressed, that actually isn't helpful to shut it down that way. Trust. Trust isn't just in people. Ultimately, trust is in God, the God in you, and the God in other people. So if you say, I've got some money to hold, don't give it to somebody who's got a propensity for blowing the money, gambling the money, or whatever other thing they might do. Don't prove that you trust people by giving and tempting, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God, even in other people. Wait, that's not where they're at. Trust in the God in people. That means you're trusting in trustworthiness in people. And there is God and trustworthiness in people. But it doesn't mean you leap off the cliff and say, catch me, Lord, to prove you're there, so I can prove I trust God. That's not what happened with Jesus. He didn't teach us to leap off and have the angels catch him and prove that the angels are there. No, don't. Don't leap. Don't overly commit to things that could be dangerous. Do it in measured doses. I'm sure that every day it's a temptation for somebody to betray you or me in some way. But when you live from a place of being connected, you just don't attract as much of that. And you go into things with eyes open. Who are you? When you know who you are, you don't attract as many people who don't know who they are and take it out on you. It's not perfect because you're in a fallen world, but things are cleaner. They do work out more smoothly, more easily, and the good does become more our consistent pattern. Stuff can still happen. This center, how it runs, or your business at home, or whatever it is, these things clean up. And I love The center's always just another step higher, a step higher, it's constantly this beautiful thing. And 90% there's trust, but occasionally an oddity happens. What do? Blame, shame, hate, that's not what Spirit would have us do. And it's not what Spirit would have you do. If you have to grieve, grieve. Try to grieve it all. Try to sit and say, what is this? Well, I'm sad because, and then say, and? Well, no, that person left me or passed away. And? Anybody else? What do you mean? Anybody else that ever triggered this emptiness you're feeling? Oh yeah, this, and now you're going into deeper healing. See, grieving is still an intellectual description of an event. What are you doing? I'm just grieving. About 3 more hours going, like you can't control grief and call it true grief. To grieve, surrender to it, but not, and that's the word trust again. Trust in your surrender to it, but no, always remain the witness. Always know I'm grieving and why. And no, this is going really too far. I'm going to step back, catch my breath, wipe my tears, and let myself go to another place later. Keep an eye on it. Be the witness. Remain centered and responsible in these things. Definitely don't shut them down if you can avoid shutting them down. I'm very sorry for the grief any of us feel. I'm very sorry for betrayals, because betrayals feel very rug pulled out from under your feet. You didn't expect it. It really, really, really hurts. But none of these events are actually like dictionary events. A word, a description, and that's for me, or encyclopedic. These events are always tests. And they're not just tests to toughen you. They're tests to teach you about yourself. Why betrayals? What's this about? I wasn't really keeping an eye on things as much as I probably should. Like for one, there are things, kind of mundane things, bookkeeping kinds of things like that, I told you this story before, but when I was married many years ago and I had her take care of the checkbook, it was hilarious. She's dyslexic. She had poverty consciousness she had come from. I mean, there would be like 50 reasons to say she would not be a good bookkeeper. And every month, there would be like 10 insufficient fund charges because of not knowing the right amount of money. And it was like, at the end of the year, I'm like, there's $1,500 in insufficient fund charges. Like, wow. And for a moment, which is probably a year and a half, I would be frustrated and arguing with her about this. But I stopped and went, wait, who put her in charge of the checkbook? Me. And then I went, Michael, yes? Would you like to do the checkbook? No. Then you have to be okay with her losing money every month. Okay. Now it becomes an investment. I just have to accept it. About $1,000 a year or whatever. It's just going to go into nowhere. Insufficient funds. Because I was so, but responsibly, committed to not doing the checkbook myself. Seriously, you see what I mean? We secretly have these arrangements, blame others, and not realize, yeah, but you thought you had this perfect partnership, but when you look more deeply, weren't you a little desperate at that time? Weren't you kind of, anybody will do was your mantra? You didn't know it, but if you're really honest, yeah, I was kind of lonely at that period, or I was trying to compensate for the relationship I had before that wasn't so good, so I jumped in. Stop and look at it. And now you can retire all the weird people that have done things to you, and you start going, wow, I thought it was about hating you or healing from my experience with you. That starts, yes, but that's not the end. I end up going here. You had the craziest, psychopathic narcissist on the planet, and all your friends have signed affidavits to confirm, yes, this poor girl had the weirdest, rudest, grossest person on the planet. I would still, if I were that woman, have to ask, and out of 8 billion on the planet, how did I end up with them? They tricked me. So you're not intuitive, you're not psychic, you had no warnings at all. Remember the upset stomach you had an hour after meeting them? You remember a psychic walked by with eyes like this? When you were out on a date with that person? You know, and you were like, oh, poor thing, they look sick. No, they were like, no, don't do it. You stop and you go, it's hard. Being responsible is very challenging for the average human being. But when you see people struggling, try to help. Try to be present. Try to listen to what's going on. Offer feedback if it's invited. And when it seems like the right time, maybe introduce that deeper responsibility message. Don't look at a person who's freshly into betrayal going, well, why did you create that? No, it's gross. Instead, try to watch for the right moments. And sometimes you use yourself as an example. God, I know what you're going. I went through this. Not overly I when it's about them, but you hint. You hint about, oh man, you're doing so well. I was a mess, even beyond what you're feeling. And it took me a long time to heal. And I'm so proud of you for willing to heal sooner. You see what I'm saying? Bridging and then being able to say, and they say to you, how did you deal with it? And you now slip in. Well, you need to be more responsible. It's, well, here's what I did, and it was not easy. I started realizing this wasn't the first partner that betrayed me. There were like 5, and I'm the common denominator. No, notice how I'm not saying you at all. It's too hard for them. But you throw ideas out there. You don't enable. You don't enable either. You don't, I hate men too. You know, you don't add to the hatred, to the hurt. I can't believe they did that. That surprises me. Wow, that probably hurt. Wow, that would have hurt me. That's fine. But just don't jump in and enable us, least of all, hatred. But watch for the inner opportunities. Watch for the inner lessons, the inner growth on the inside. That's what we have to do, the inside, not just the outside. What if you're the person who has caused harm to others, betrayed others? What if you're that one that isn't trustworthy? It's very important, in a nutshell, apologize and make amends. And apology, like I'm really sorry about that. Even if it's something you didn't mean to do. Hey, I know that was probably hard and I'm really sorry about my part. If I played any part, sorry about that. The other is make amends, and people do not understand that concept. Making amends, it does mean, what can I do to make it up to you? In a way, in simple wording. But making amends, apology and amends is also the 2 words that define what's called I repent. And repent doesn't mean I say sorry and do it 5 more times. Repentance and apology amends, that really means I'm working to not do this and repeat this. You see what I mean by that? It's really, really beautiful, but you're offering to go to a place where I'm changing from this event. My having seen that I may have harmed you shouldn't just be, I apologize because I'm told by my sponsor I'm supposed to apologize and make amends. No, it's supposed to be, I want to actually change that behavior. So please be careful with your apologies and amends. Don't do them unless they're authentic. Okay? Because you're just digging a deeper hole there. And of course, practice forgiveness on yourself and others when you get into these moments of betrayal and so on and so on. Apologize, make amends. The whole world is benefiting from our ability, in that word, taking responsibility. Hey, listen, I see that this happened. I really apologize. What can I do to make a difference? But change the behavior. Back when I was married, and I'm closing now, I remember typically happens with people talking, somebody might say, I don't like that you do this certain thing. And I said, okay, I'm going to change that. And she said, well, I don't want you to change it for me, which is often a response you'd get, right? And I said, you don't know me, do you? I won't change anything for you. I will change it because I can see that it wasn't appropriate and it's authentic in me. You see what I mean by that? Like, you see it and you make it an authentic, I will modify my behavior for a little while for somebody. That's not authentic. We have to actually see what they're saying when they say that was rude or that, whatever it was. Authentically, we should be wanting to become better people. So apology and amends isn't just about sweeping up the mess we left. It's about becoming different people. All of this is consistent with what we talked about today. Trust not blindly. Trust in trustworthy pieces and people And more you'll see trustworthy pieces when that's your intention. And be sure to give thanks. When you've trusted somebody and they pulled through, tell them how amazing that was. You know, I shared this vulnerable thing with you. I expected you to react, but instead, I can't believe the compassion you held while I shared that. I had my doubts. I had my fears, which is all antitrust, but you really hung in there, so thank you. You fed them. Now they can say, note to self, I'm going to practice being more trustworthy to people. And you also took yourself to a new level of trust, which means you're going to now create more and more trustworthy people. Please take a few centering breaths. As always, breathe in anything you heard that made sense. Let it become yours. Let it become your truth. This is where I'm at now. Now I know and understand more about whatever it is. Own that new level of wisdom. Let it change you permanently. For just a few minute experience, meditation, we can change everything in the universe in just a few minutes when we do things deeply, well-intendedly, just focused. Imagine right now in prayer, in your heart, wherever you are on this planet, whatever the date is that you see this program, in your heart, concentrate and imagine asking to join with God. I want to enter your consciousness, be in your presence. I want to feel your love, your joy, your bliss. I feel the strong intention, feel the absolute commitment to have that experience. Don't try to do it yet, just the commitment. I am committing 100% to a minute in heaven, in bliss, in God. And then imagine the weight, the anchor, our material beliefs that we're human mortals. Imagine that drops from your body and you begin to lift. And you're moving towards God. It's out there in the distance. It's a presence of light, not there yet, but just aware. I'm lifting and I'm now moving, floating forward towards God. And everything you know God to be, bliss, oh my God, being home, oneness, joy, and all that. And you're moving, you're halfway there. Imagine 3/4 the way there. There's this presence, this light. It feels sparkly, it feels bubbly, joyous. You're getting closer. Then a cloud comes in between you and that doorway. A dense, heavy cloud, like a fog. But the fog is an acronym, fear of God. So there's this heavy, dense cloud. It is symbolizing hurts, resentments, but also fear of God. Some of us go, well, I don't fear God. But deep down, if you don't fear God, good. Then are you willing to look at shames and regrets? Because those are all things that keep us from oneness with God. So what do you find in the cloud? Keep moving forward. How inhibited do you become? How blocked how heavy do you become? Visualize moving forward. Allow yourself to feel the density of the fog brushing across your face as you're moving forward. Allow yourself for a moment to feel how heavy that kind of fog can be. It's almost dense and it keeps you back. Imagine reaching a hand up, though, and brushing the fog aside, one to your right, to your left, and so on, and keep moving forward. But it is heavy. If by chance it feels so heavy that even my hands trying to brush it aside, my arms are getting tired. This is partly found in A Course in Miracles as a meditation. But do the following. I'm not even going to try to do this on my own. I don't need to. I'm calling on you, Father, Mother, God. I'm calling you, Jesus the Christ. I'm calling on you, Divine Mother, Holy Spirit of God. Sometimes the world seems too heavy. Why was I trying to do it myself, or the opposite, give up? I'm choosing no longer to give up, nor to try to make this happen on my own. I get it. I'm calling on you, and God, in whatever form, reaches its hand through the fog, gently takes our hand or hands, and draws us through the rest of the fog. Let it draw you in effortlessly to the light of God. You made it. You deserve. Enter that space and just for the next moment, bask in it, breathe it in. Total oneness with the power behind all things. Love, oneness, joy behind all things. God, this is wonderful. To close the meditation would still be a bit of a drag because there's a lot of people on earth that aren't feeling this. So let's close with blessing everyone that comes to mind. All religious leaders, all political leaders, no one left out. Male, female, moms, dads, whether they were kind or not, exes, and people you love and care about too. All that come to mind. Oh my God, if you only knew what I'm feeling in God. I want that to all be yours. Yes, I allow you to breathe it in when it's your choice to do so, but I'm at least pouring it upon you, blessing you with it. All that God is, I bless you with. Feel the peace of God. Feel the love of God. And the likelihood is none of them would have done the things they've done if they knew that presence. So you're actually helping them, saving them from doing another lifetime of what they did, whether it's the receiving of the bad karma or to continue the pattern. They don't have to now because they have the solution, the presence of God. What addiction could they have if they have God? I'm so sorry that we chose other than this. Strange we are, but it's gone. Now all that God is, I shine upon you and me. We return together into the light of God, or not at all. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And so it is. Breathe that into your being, and let's take that into our day. Anyone you encounter. I know that there's stuff, but it's far more petty than we ever imagine. When you're centered in God, things just seem to shrink in comparison. Issues, even some of the most appalling. The more we're centered in God, the less power they have, okay, over ourselves or others. Even when others are giving into the struggles, be the awakening that you wish that friend of yours has or had. Be that for them, and it'll download to them when they're open enough for it. Don't try to just get them out of trouble. Don't forget the power of prayer, the power of blessing people. You have more than you can imagine. I know you can get through this. Like I said about the dog or person that's struggling or passing away. My God, be what they can't see right now. But I'm in so much pain. I know, but it's not who you are, and this too shall pass. Be the voice of love. Even the tone of your voice can change in those moments. There are moments to say no, and you're firm, and it's important. But man, when they need to hear the Father's voice, hey, that's enough of that. That's what you do sometimes with people that are being weird, squirrely with you. But it's also okay to go, honey, and shift into the mother aspect of God. Honey, are you okay? You see what I mean by that? That tone. I'm not fabricating the tone. I'm not like contriving it. It's what happens in me when I shift to this or that. There's sometimes no, and there's, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And it's sincere. It's not like I go, change it 3 more decibels this way, that. It's not at all contrived. We just learn to, if we're walking in the light of God, we let that voice come through what's needed in the moment. All right? Sometimes it's reassuring someone. Sometimes it's saying, hey, not okay. All right? Thank you. Can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most difference for them or stood out the most for them, be it the meditation or the talk or your own experience in the room? Yes?
Authentic expression is our gift from our center in God.
Authentic expression is our gift and a gift that comes from our center in God. Absolutely. Even mourning is a beautiful, authentic thing because it's like a commitment in prayer to say, I want to let go of this rather than hold it in. Yes.
Importance and power of introspection.
The importance and power of introspection. Know thyself. Know thyself. That's the second lesson in what we're doing in our 1-year course. Yes? You're on a different side of the room today.
Yeah, I like to go from there to here. That way it gives me a different perspective.
Nice.
But I really like the stuff you said about trust, because I brought that up. And
Yeah.
I've had a real issue with that for years.
Trust.
I also like the fact that you have to start with yourself, change yourself,
Yes.
and trust with discretion.
Yes. Trust with discretion is not the same as fake or holding back. It's saying, I'm kind of wounded here, like a physical wound. So I'm going to need a crutch or a cast for now. You know what I mean? You're giving support to that, but own it. And don't hate the people that break the trust. Just, I'm a little tender with this. You're with somebody and they're talking about a relationship and you say, well, I'm going to move slowly with this relationship. It's okay to own that stuff. I wouldn't repeat it every time you see them, but just state it. This is me. And I am clear that this is an area that I'm working on. So I'm going to want to grow this relationship a little more slowly. That's one way of being honest and setting the tone for where you're at. Okay? Anyone else? Yes.
I want to thank you for talking about grief. It helped me so much. Lost my husband in November. We were together for 70 years. 70 years since we started dating. I was only 13.
Wow. Wow.
I'm still here to tell about it. Because it was good stuff. It was a God thing that brought us together as kids. And it lasted a lifetime.
I'm so sorry for the loss, sweetheart. But wow. To meet somebody at 13, be with them. Some of us can't do 13 minutes. You met at 13, married at some point, and for over 70 years, in a relationship. That's just amazing. And I'm saying it's truly amazing. One of you was going to die first in most scenarios, so it's going to happen. But why did I have that relationship? First, you had to have good karma. You did. And you need to own that. Wow, I created well. You did. You don't just accidentally get a great relationship. I can count in all my years on this planet, I can count on these 2 hands how many people I've ever known that described what you just described. So that's good karma. I'm not just sweet talking, I'm telling you that's a fact. But you're sitting in a room talking to hundreds of people and thousands counting online who are hearing that that exists. Even if they can't have it yet, it exists and it becomes a neuron that says, wait, that's new. I didn't know. So now you delivered hope somewhere in the minds of people. But some of them are going, well, I'm already 95 and how am I going to go find a 70-year relationship? Well, they shouldn't be taking it literally. It means there's, wow. But if you and I are one and you had it, then in a way I had it. And you're reminding me that I can have it. Now the form it takes might be different. But I'm telling you and your husband, wherever he is, you understand every person hearing this that goes, and this is how my mind works. Dude, it's, the term I might use. Dude, listen, every one of us that's hearing this going, and I would thank you for taking good care of her. That's one thing I would say to him. And thank you for taking good care of it. But wherever you are, thank you. And my saying thank you actually adds symbolically feathers to his wings. He goes to higher consciousness by me, a stranger to him, saying thank you for taking care of her. He's out there somewhere going, whoa, I just went up 5 dimensions. What happened? Because someone stuck him in the elevator and pushed a higher button by saying thank you. So we all, wow, thank you. If we've had tidbits of that only, thank you, because you're a more magnified version, yes. If I sit and rub my hand, oh my God, she had it and I didn't, that just shows my wounds. It's very sad, but it's wounds. We admire and appreciate. Sorry for the loss, and so much there. There's not a minute in any day that he's not still with you thus far. He'll either be there to help you move to the other side, and he'll, peekaboo when you get there, or, if it's 20 years from now, by then he might go on to other dimensions, whatever, the greatest good. But it's impossible for him to not be in your presence still. It's impossible because of the connection, the bonds, the love, the appreciation. We don't just abandon and say, well, I'm free, sucks to be you. That's not the mantra of death. It's, I love you, how could I be gone? I mean, if it was a different kind of relationship, yeah, we end death with the word adios, but you have a really beautiful thing, and I'm appreciative that you shared it. Yeah, yes, you're welcome. You guys agree? Absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome. There's, oh my God, there's so much of what the magic of life, real love. And I don't just mean 2 years of love that really turned out to not be love. I'm talking about the real deal. And that you experience it has to be good karma for that of his and yours. Has to be. It's not an accident. And thank you for being that for all of us. Yeah, thank you. He too is lifted by that. There are people, and I'm closing, but there are people that appreciate you and you just don't even know it. And you get to the other side and they're handing you wings that have 5 feathers on each side versus 50. How much good have you done? How many people appreciate your time on earth? Now, if you're sitting watching going, uh-oh, there's probably nobody testifying for me. There's good news. Jesus does. Your brother does, and the Divine Mother does. But it still helps when you can report, my brothers and sisters are here with me, and they can confirm that I've really done what I can to be loving to each other, to others and so on. I strongly pick up, I'm just brief with this. There's somebody here that has been like a nurse or an EMT, this like a person who deals with emergency. And I wasn't going to comment on this, but because you said this, there's somebody here that's worked with emergency cases, and it was somebody that passed away. You didn't even know them, but one of you in the room, this person's soul is hovering around you only because they're still grateful. This isn't your mother, your sister. This is just somebody that's still hanging out in your aura because they're trying to continually tell you every day how grateful they are the way you handled them when they were there passing. And I can hear them and I can see them. I just don't point all these things out all the time. But relevant to today, because gratitude, it does things that nobody understands. It's just so trippy in a good way. When you get to the other side, you're, oh, wait, didn't I know you? Yes. Yeah, I was the one. Oh, wow, and why are you here? Because I appreciate what you did. Really? Yeah, it's multidimensional goodness. And as the dimension barriers are fading, the goodness gets to pour in more into our lives. So thank you again. Let's please do our collection and our closing prayer. Interesting stuff, huh? All the different directions we ended up going. Please take your love offering and hold it to your heart. Something interesting is happening, in the room, I can feel. And it has to do with new beginnings. It has to do with, did we just hear a lecture, a talk, a sermon? Really, think about this. Wow, grief, and then what was shared, and a 70-year relationship, and meeting so young and it being so beautiful. And wow, I want that. I want that in my life. Choose it. Don't dream it. Don't pray. Don't beg. Choose it. Choose to have greater integrity in partnerships. It can happen. She just told us. How can I trust her? Back to trust, you see? Well, you don't have to. Just be cold. Go back to being cold. Or try it a little at a time, and every time it works, breathe it in and go, oh, she was telling the truth. This does work. And sometimes your hand gets slapped. Don't run the opposite way. Just step back, recalibrate, and let's go forward again. I know it's not easy, but keep trusting despite the way the world treats you. Love offering to our hearts, really sincerely, deeply appreciating what we gained today. Not just talk. The song, the music, which was Let Your Love Grow, by the way, Bellamy Brothers for the people online. But everybody in the room, believe it or not, who's sitting next to you adds to the vibe of something. They trigger you or they brought you love and peace. Either way, thank you. Be grateful for the people around you. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Great, thank you. We're going to do our closing prayer, but just 1 second only. Today's a perspective, anybody that would like to be a new member of our center, online or in the room, we will have a meeting for just a few minutes in the room, the meeting room over there. So if you want to be a member, you're welcome. There's not a big initiational ceremony. It's just telling you a little bit about the center. Being a member kind of tells yourself that you feel more of a commitment to participating in this particular kind of spiritual family, let's say. But it also means you attend our once a year meetings where we can talk about the state of the union of the center, and you can vote on things that if we're doing any major direction changes, like when we moved and got a new building, the members voted on whether we should do that or not. So it's kind of easy and lightweight, but you're welcome to join us in the room for that meeting. And anytime donations that you can share, we greatly appreciate it. It can be a one-time, it could be a monthly, it can be you want to be a sponsor of one of our programs. There's all kinds of different ways that people donate, including donating their time. So you can be a volunteer if you'd like. Let's see, we have our crystal bed sessions outside in that round room there. Today they're available, but also during the week. If you want to experience a crystal bed, it's an extraordinary deal. But we also have other forms of healing, shamanic soul retrieval, all that just a block away in our angel healing room, where it's more, people can have massage or all kinds of different work done there. And if you're on social media, thank you for joining us. You can like this and subscribe to it and all those wonderful things. We appreciate if you love the programs. Yeah, just get on, it'll tell you when we're on, but please go on and get on our mailing list. Just go to our website, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness.com, and get on our mailing list. Then we'll keep you posted what's going on. But every Monday we have a Zoom program. You go to the Facebook group called Friends of Michael Mirdad, and it'll show you how to get in the Zoom program that's open topics for about an hour and a half at 11 o'clock Mondays. We have a Daughters of Heaven Zoom program as well every other week. Just go to the Daughters of Heaven Facebook page or the website for that matter, and we'll include you. So thank you for all of that. Again, we have our meeting right after this. If you would like to either sit in prayer after this is over, our chaplains hold a prayer circle. You can ask for prayer in a particular area, and you can also sit and add to the prayer to support the prayer frequency. But our chaplains will be doing this almost every Sunday of every month. They do this, so you're welcome to receive or participate, whatever it might be. And also our bookstore and gift store will be open. Please stand for our closing prayer. Kind of magic, isn't it? It's magical. And that's, wow. This isn't a linear thing, so it just gets our minds going, as they say, wow. The love, the friendship, the camaraderie, wow. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for guiding us to this place. But, and I say this place meaning consciousness, the teachings, the center. But I'm also grateful that I said yes to this, to being here today, to hear what I needed to hear. And God bless all the people that ask specific questions. I pray that they got answers that will change them for the better forever. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Please share at least one hug with someone before you leave. God bless.